Hypers? Welcome back to another episode of Hyper Heroes here on Hyper RPG.
Hi.
Damn,
So
I feel like
glad
I should
to
clap
be
after
back.
that one.
Oh yeah, you should. You should be fucking clapping. You should be clapping every week. Damn it.
I know, right?
What do you think you are?
Let's clap, guys.
Let's clap. Let's just clap.
Round of applause. Round of applause.
Guys, thank you so much for being here. Super excited to be here. We had a really successful live stream last week. I was super proud
that
of
was
how
really
well
cool.
that went.
Yeah, that was fun.
Really cool.
was fun.
The reception we got was really, really good. Thank you guys so much for liking the video, sharing the video, for commenting on the video. A lot of good stuff in the comments, and a lot of enthusiasm about you guys really liking it. We hope to be able to do it more often. It's something that, you know, we kind of have to plan around it because everybody's got different work schedules and stuff. But if you guys really like it, we'll continue doing it. And we can't thank you guys enough for all the tips that we got in the super chat.
Yeah.
Really nice of you guys to tip and ask questions, and a really nice opportunity to interact with all of you, and just having a good time talking about the things we love.
That was a lot of fun. That was. I feel like that YouTube community that we had was pretty good.
Yeah.
We didn't have like a lot of trolls in the chat.
No.
It seemed like everybody was really cool in the chat. So yeah, that was fun. I'd
Yeah.
be down to do it again and make it maybe a regular thing.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And then on Sunday, we did the
I'd do it
Oscar
again.
viewing
Yeah.
party. Cameron and I and Malika was here. Elizabeth came for a little bit. That was also a great time.
What'd you think of the show? overall?
You know, it's funny. I know a lot of people were writing and saying that it was very predictable, but I was actually pretty happy with everybody that won. I was super excited when Roger Deakins won. To me, that was one that I was really hoping, I was really rooting for him.
I was rooting for Guillermo and The
Of
Shape
course.
of Water for Best Picture, but
Yeah.
I was still surprised that it won because even though I
Right.
kind of figured like I don't think the Academy is going to pick Get Out,
Yeah.
even though I think it's my personal favorite and should have won. I don't think that they were going to pick Three Billboards because I'm like, well, that's like the opposite of Get Out.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they would want that controversy of like, you guys didn't pick Get Out, so you're going to pick
Yeah.
the one where like it's white people solving racism, but not really. Like, don't do that. So I think they were like, let's play it safe and pick Shape of Water, which is this fantastical, but still
that's
kind
not
of
even
about
playing
racism.
it safe though. That's a fish sex movie.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like it's
Sexy
I
time
think-
with the
I think,
fishes.
The greatest fish sex movie of all time.
Exactly.
The fish banging
Exactly.
movie.
The fish
Take that,
banging
Splash.
movie.
Get out of here, Splash.
Yeah, I mean, I was really happy with all the results.
Yeah.
Because I was sort of in the same boat. I thought that because of the trend, I thought Three Billboards had the greatest chance of winning. But I personally wanted either Get Out or Shape of Water to win. Those
Same.
are my two
Yeah, of
favorite
course.
movies.
Same.
I wouldn't have been mad if Shape of Water took it. It was a big night for Mexico, but
Yeah, it
I
was
mean,
great.
it ended up turning a big night for Mexico. But
Yeah.
if Shape of Water would have, I'm sorry, if Get Out would have taken it, I would have been just as
I'm
happy.
really happy that Jordan Peele ended up walking away with a Best Original Screenplay Oscar,
Yeah.
and I think what he said in the speech was so impactful and I think so meaningful. You know, he said he quit. He tried to write the script 20 times. He
Yep.
quit. He didn't think anybody would help him make it,
Yep.
but he thanked everybody who helped raise his voice to help him make the movie, and he thanked everybody who went out there to buy a ticket.
Yep.
And to me, that
Several times.
and to me that signals how important it is to go out to the movies and support movies when
Yeah.
you can and when
Yeah.
they're available. Right now, you know, a big movie that's been on my mind today, I saw this morning, was Annihilation. You saw it as well. Written and directed by Alex Garland. And to me, that's another movie where it's like the main characters in that movie are 5 women. They're surrounded by a very diverse cast of men: Oscar Isaac, Ben Wan, David Gyasi, and I'm
I
like,
think it's-
y'all need to go
it's-
out there and support it if you can.
Is it
Yeah.
4 women or 5 women?
It's 5. It's Jennifer Jason Leigh, Natalie Portman, Tessa Thompson, Gina Rodriguez, and Tuvo Novotny. So that's 5, right?
That's
I
a stacked cast
forgot.
right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, she was
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
She was good. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if the movie's available,
Yep.
like go see it. It's a really good sci-fi movie. Plus, I mean, it's a really great opportunity to support something that's not a Marvel, not a DC, not a Star Wars. And I don't think we should just be pushing for diversity in those movies. We should be pushing for it in all.
Across the board.
Yeah,
Agreed.
yeah, and that's a great movie to do it. Also, we recently partnered with Adam Tickets. We're an official affiliate of Adam Tickets.
ATOM.
So if you get
Not
exactly
not Adam
ATOM,
Tickets.
the other
ATOM
Adam.
tickets.
If you guys want
You
to
okay,
get
Naeem?
tickets,
All right.
Naeem's just trying to like wind up
Naeem-
cables and things
No,
are happening.
he
over here.
dropped some cables and he was just like,
He's thinking about Annihilation. That's why that movie
Naeem-
ended, and we were both sitting
Yeah.
there going like,
what? Yeah.
Naeem looks like what's that big hair monster from the Munsters?
"Wow."
Cousin It?
Cousin It covered in cables.
Covered
right
in
now.
cables,
Just
yeah.
covered in cables.
I don't know if that was an
cables.
insult or a compliment.
He's
Naeem.
wrapped
You can take it
from
for what
head
it is.
to toe in
Yeah.
microphone auxiliary cables.
Oh, boy.
And he cannot get out. I wish you guys could see this, but
Yeah.
you know,
It's
He's
a sight.
had
It's
it
a
with
sight.
these
It's a sight.
cables.
it's a sight.
Nah,
But guys,
he's all right.
if you
He's
guys
all
want to get any tickets for the latest movies that are coming out or anything coming out soon, I'm sure we're going to be pimping this out.
What's
for Avengers
coming out?
Infinity War.
Wrinkle in Time.
Yeah, came
Yep.
out. Infinity War, so much
Infinity
stuff.
War. Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I feel like Hector's going to sit here and name movies and
I know,
remember
right?
what's
Hector,
coming
you
out.
know,
them all.
you know how Hector feels about his list.
Of course,
Han
we
Solo.
know.
I don't
Come
know.
on.
Deadpool 2.
Whatever else.
You guys can go
Yeah.
down to the description of this video, use our link, our special Hyper RPG link. It helps out the company. It helps us out to keep the lights on, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a great way to support us.
Yeah.
And if you are a first-time buyer of Adam tickets, you can use the coupon code SQUAD and get $5 off your purchase. So thank you, Adam
Squad.
tickets, and thank you to people who has hit us up and said, I use your code.
Yeah,
Thank
it's
you.
great.
It helps
That's
us
cool.
out. It helps
Yeah.
us out. Every little bit counts.
That's cool.
And helps. So thank you guys so much for that.
SQUAD squad.
That's right. Because it's from 2016 Suicide Squad. Why not?
Sure.
Let's dive into
Sure
the
it
first
is.
topic, though. The first thing we're talking about, breaking news story from today. Jon Favreau is going to be executive producing and writing a brand new live-action Star Wars TV series.
Disney.
No release date.
Disney.
It's going to be distributed to its new digital streaming platform coming out in 2019.
Y'all gotta know what you're doing when you're making these announcements. You're making this announcement on International Women's Day.
Yeah.
Disney, somebody must have caught that. That's what's crazy. Like this
They didn't though,
this
because
is-
they let
isn't
it
that
out and
crazy?
didn't make a mention of it.
because this is really cool, exciting news. I
you
love
could've done
Jon
tomorrow?
Favreau. Yeah, I love Jon Favreau, and you could have done it when. It's like we've been told already by this company multiple times, like, oh, don't worry, we got people of color and women working
Yeah.
on stuff. We just haven't announced it yet. Well, then fucking announce that shit. And we'll wait. Like, you got to sandwich it. Be like, oh, here's this person, and then Jon Favreau. And then here's this person, and then Ryan Johnson has a
Yeah,
trilogy. And then
yeah.
here's this person. Like, Disney.
Yeah.
Sandwich it in there.
I love you,
Right.
baby,
Yeah.
but sandwich it.
Yeah.
I know.
Make
What's
a nice
going
little
on?
Neapolitan sandwich. Ice
boy.
cream.
So this is the quote from Kathleen Kennedy regarding this announcement. I couldn't be more excited about John coming on board to produce and write for the new direct-to-consumer platform. John brings the perfect mix of producing and writing talent, combined with a fluency in the Star Wars universe. This series will allow John the chance to work with a diverse group of writers and directors and give Lucasfilm the opportunity to build a robust talent base. Which, that part of the quote, look, I'm already on board for Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
John Favreau was
He's
one of the
great.
guys who was rumored to come on board and do Episode 7.
Yeah.
He's obviously very closely tied to Lucasfilm because of his involvements with Disney.
Yeah.
You know, he had the Jungle Book come out, which was a massive hit. He's doing The Lion King, which comes out next year.
Which apparently is amazing.
Which, I mean, I'm sure it's going to be amazing
Yeah.
if Jungle Book was any sort of like test for that
Yeah.
movie or
Yeah.
any sort of first step of what
Yeah.
they could do. So it makes perfect sense that he's going to be involved in Star Wars. I think he has a small little brief cameo or role in the Han Solo movie. He's done a voice, I think, on Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So he's very involved with Star Wars. So I already on board for that. But to me, the important part of this quote is Kathleen Kennedy saying
Yeah.
that this gives us the chance to work with a diverse group of writers and directors, because I think that's the biggest thing that
Right,
people
right.
immediately bring up is y'all appointed another white man
Yeah.
to make a Star Wars thing. Where are the women at? Where are the diverse people at? Why
Yeah.
can't we have more than just that? And from that perspective, I completely understand the criticism, because yes, we have the creators of Game of Thrones, Ryan Johnson, and now Jon Favreau, Ron Howard, and all the other previous directors. From the business side, I also understand why Disney did this. But we also don't know whether or not this was pitched to Favreau or
Yeah.
he pitched it to them.
Yeah.
Because we've heard things that Kathleen Kennedy has been meeting with a bunch of diverse filmmakers. A lot of people have been coming to their offices apparently. So this gives me hope that, yes, even though Jon Favreau is going to be executive producing and writing, we don't know if it's a pilot or if it's a whole season. My hope is that at Star Wars Celebration or some upcoming convention that they announce, hey, we said we're going to do a Star Wars live action show for our direct-to-consumer platform. Here's the director of the pilot, and have it be somebody that's not Jon Favreau.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's and like roll it out.
Well,
roll it
yeah.
out.
I
That'd be great.
think that's why they didn't announce him as director. Basically,
Yeah.
they're like, this guy's going to be taking the helm. But I'm sure that he seems like the type of guy that really kind of knows what he's doing at this point. Like, he's hit a pretty good stride in his acting career and his writing career that I feel like he's kind of easy to work with.
He jump-started the Marvel Cinematic Universe, too.
Exactly. I mean, like, Iron Man 1 was amazing.
Yep.
But I've never heard any real negative things said about Jon Favreau.
Like working with
So
him.
I feel like
Yeah,
he's
yeah.
the type of guy who's willing to take critiques, willing
Yeah.
to input like any other creative kind of juices that people can put in there to make a better product. So hopefully what this means is that, yeah, Jon Favreau is going to be writing and producing a lot of this stuff, but the directing talent that they got is
Right.
really going to kind of run the show.
And we all know from Marvel and Disney, all that stuff, it has to be collaborative.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
can't just have one voice really sort of be the only voice that leads the whole thing.
Right,
even
exactly.
for the movies. Even though, like, Rian Johnson, writer director of Star Wars Episode 8.
Yeah.
You brought up a good thing, an interesting story a couple weeks back where you were talking about how he asked J.J. Abrams, hey, you think instead of BB-8 you can put R2-D2 in there because I want to do more with R2 and Luke.
Right.
Yep.
So I think it'll hopefully, being optimistic, it'll hopefully work out in
like
the end
a
for them.
huge collaboration, basically.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and I think they need that. There's no way you come out and you make this announcement on International Women's Day and not know the impact that it's going to have.
After hearing that kind of criticism specifically over the past couple months and years, that's the kind of frustrating thing. But I think you're absolutely right, Adam. It's looking at that silver lining. It's looking at when they do announce what the show format's going to be. If it's going to be like 8 episodes of a live-action Star Wars show. Live action, does that mean like 30 minutes or like an hour show?
Yeah.
It's probably going to be like an hour drama.
Probably.
Right?
Probably.
Maybe like 13 episodes like we're used to on a Netflix thing. Can you imagine 13 new hours of live action Star Wars? This isn't
Wars.
animated.
No, yeah.
This is live action.
That's
and
not
it's
Look,
like,
even if it was animated, I'd be all for it.
Oh,
'cause
for
Rebels
sure.
is
Yeah.
dope.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. But with the caliber of Jon Favreau to come out and be like, I'm kind of spearheading this, I'm showrunning this, and here's our 13 directors, and here's our 13 here's our writers room.
Yeah, exactly.
Here's our writers
exactly.
room, and the exciting thing is going to be with whatever they're cooking up to get different kinds of voices and perspectives and directors and producers that we're not used to seeing, what they're going to be able to do once they get their hands on Star Wars for a specific episode. There'll be moments where John will go, we had this idea for this one episode, and then we had this female director come in, and they brought this thing to the project. We would have never thought of this. This is awesome.
Exactly.
And it's in the Star Wars universe. We came up with the story, then we had these 2 directors come in and do this.
And it's instantly canon.
And their their background is,
Exactly.
this director's black or this director's Latino or whatever, and look at what kind of stuff they brought to the sort of world of
Voice,
the same thing as having Patty Jenkins on Wonder Woman, Ryan Coogler on Black Panther. The Marvel Cinematic Universe is a thing. It's established.
Yeah.
And there are still within that incredible world that has been built
Right.
so many different angles and so many different stories you can tell. Here comes Ryan Coogler, and he's like, I'll tell the story of me from Oakland. It's like, and that fit into the most epic shit.
Right.
So
and
imagine.
not even just him from Oakland, but also Ta-Nehisi Coates' writing that highly influenced the world, and Brian Stelfreeze's art that highly influenced the world too. It's like it's coming with this tidal wave of energy, and a person like Ryan Coogler can bring all that kind of stuff.
You know what that makes me think of? It's like, man, the live action Star Wars world is ripe for more stuff being pulled from like their comics.
Yes,
the same way the Marvel movies do.
Yeah.
Like some Star Wars Marvel comics are so good, and it's like, what if they did some shit, mixing it up with that era? What if they pulled some stuff from the Poe Dameron comic, or from the Darth Vader comic, or from all these different places? It's just so exciting, and it is just a little bit of a bummer that it's like, it's this pitch. It's like, Jon Favreau, that's great. He says a great quote about being so excited about it. It's awesome because he is a fantastic director, great writer. Like, can't wait to see this.
Right.
It's just a bummer that it's not like, and here's 13 directors and they're super cool, to have that behind it.
And that's also the thing too. It's I do like that you can have a different director for every episode, which is great. Yeah. But I've noticed that sort of in the TV landscape, sort of how we had Kevin Smith direct an episode of The Flash.
Right.
The only reason we would have really known without looking at the credits is because he made it a big deal.
True.
True. He came out and he said, I've always wanted to do this, and they finally gave me an opportunity.
Yeah.
But for any other director, like, do you know anybody that's directing TV episodes that's like...
TV directors don't get that kind of acclaim.
they don't get that kind of...
Except,
They don't
I
get
got to
that kind
point
of
out,
praise.
I cannot, it's a bummer because I can't recall any of their names off the top of my head, but Jessica Jones, season 2.
Yeah.
Came out and they were like, every one of our directors for each of our 13 episodes is going to be a female director.
Yep.
And they recently had this awesome thread that they threw up on Twitter where like each episode had this cool art attached to it. And they're like, and this is who wrote it and this is who's directing it. It's just really cool, just something, them highlighting the team behind each episode.
Exactly.
And that's the kind of thing that they could do for a Star Wars live action thing.
They could.
And people would be, for better or worse, paying the most attention just because it's Star Wars.
Right,
Oh, for sure.
exactly.
So-
exactly.
Plus using the new digital platform, it's a really good marketing business tactic. You're going to get a lot of people to sign up for it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And the thing that Jon Favreau said was, if you told me at 11 years old that I'd be getting to tell stories in the Star Wars universe, I would not believe you. I can't wait to embark upon this exciting adventure. And I mean, that's what you want. You want that. And I was a little bummed because there was an interview with Ava DuVernay while she was doing the press junket for A Wrinkle in Time, and I think it was Collider. I think Perry asked if you had to choose between Star Wars or Marvel, which would you want to direct? And she said neither. And I think a lot of times too, and like we've had these conversations, we try to pitch, I'd love to see Ava DuVernay or Ryan Coogler or this director or that director, this director. A lot of times those directors don't even necessarily want to do it.
They're not into it.
And
you can't force them.
And I wouldn't want people to go online on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, and put pressure and say, you got to do it, you got to do it. Those directors are going to direct whatever they want and whatever they're passionate about.
Right.
Ava DuVernay turned down Black Panther because it wasn't the Black Panther movie that she wanted to make.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even like if you watch Michael B. Jordan on that episode of Hot Ones, he's asked a question on like what makes you, or what do you like and what you dislike about the superhero community.
Yeah.
And he was like, I like that people are on their game and know their stuff, but he says that it's also kind of scary to have like huge throngs of people, and it's something you have to think about when you're entering this community. It's like, we have people who are rational and think about things like that, but then you also have like the super rational side that like just likes to call out other people's bullshit, or not even bullshit, just likes to start bullshit because they don't agree with something. So it's a weird universe to jump into, and I really don't blame people for not wanting to jump into it.
It's a big undertaking, and I think even especially when it's a saga movie,
and
you're dealing with the continuation of the Skywalker story.
Right.
I would imagine that's very intimidating, but if it is a 1 hour show, then maybe somebody like Ava DuVernay or Ryan Coogler, they'd be like, okay, this is something I can sort of like wrap my head around, and it's not me having to set up a whole universe. This is a story. This is where A to B, and I just need to help fill in one of the spots of that story.
Right, and then I'll do my thing. And
I think maybe that's a little less intimidating. But
it absolutely is.
To bring it back to the Oscars, I think a really cool side effect that I think is another huge reason why it's important to have different types of people behind the scenes is that that Jordan Peele himself said watching Whoopi Goldberg win an Oscar
for Ghost,
and say at the Oscars, you can achieve your dreams. You can. She was talking to little black kids, made him think that he could do it someday, and eventually he delivered to us the movie Get Out. So it's like if we have really cool, diverse talent behind the scenes, and they're able to bring these kinds of perspectives, and they're able to be recognized and awarded for it. If they're doing Star Wars now, that means 20 years from now, there's going to be more women, more people of color into Star Wars because it should be for everyone. And not just Star Wars, but all of these types of movies. These, like, again, Ava might not have been wanting to do Black Panther, but right now there's a little 8-year-old girl who went and saw that movie, and she's like, I would kill to direct a movie in Wakanda. You know what I mean? So, like, that's the point. And then we'll get more people excited about everything.
One of the things that I liked about that Jimmy Fallon thing that he did with Chadwick Boseman, where that one woman was saying, I want to make movies and you've inspired me, and he comes out, he's like, what kind of movies do you want to make? Like, he was legitimately excited about like having this woman, this African American woman, be excited about making movies, and that's what it's all about. Like she starts crying but it's a beautiful moment, and that's I think this is like right now it's kind of like a special time. I feel like things are just kind of sparking off. And we're gonna have some crazy creative boom in a couple of years.
I cannot wait to see the products of kids who grew up like with the MCU.
Like
20 years from now, it's like, what are you doing? They'll be like, okay, I had this idea for this. It's like, what?
Like some crazy idea that stemmed with Iron Man 1 and then it leads into like some mega event would be awesome.
Super interesting. I'm excited for it. Regardless of all that other nonsense, I hope that they just come out and they're like, we got these really strong, powerful, diverse filmmakers to make these episodes.
When's it coming out, Adam?
20. They didn't officially announce a date.
We don't know.
But the digital platform launches in 2019, so that's likely when the show will debut as well.
Okay.
New details on that Joker origin movie that everyone's so stoked about.
We're so excited.
Very, very. I mean, I'm just like, I'm sweating under my arms just thinking about it. Apparently, so one of the big reasons why Martin Scorsese is involved in this movie is because of a movie he made in 1982 called Kings of Comedy, and apparently
King of Comedy,
sorry,
right there.
with Robert De
Kings
Niro.
of Comedy
Robert De Niro.
is the very funny.
And apparently, the premise of this Joker movie is going to take inspiration from that movie and also from the Alan Moore graphic novel The Killing Joke. And it's going to explore the Joker character as a failing comedian, who then obviously turns much worse. Something triggers him, and he turns into the clown prince of crime that we all know. I don't necessarily know how I feel about them potentially using a definitive version of the Joker story. I know we've talked about this at length previously. I'm hoping that this is potentially 1/3 or 1/4 of a potential storyline that they're going to use. And as we get closer and closer to this movie being made, which apparently might start shooting in the summer or it may get delayed because now they're undergoing script rewrites with Todd Phillips and what was the name of the other writer? Scott Silver, who wrote 8 Mile. They're undergoing some rewrites right now, but I don't necessarily know how I feel about them sort of coming out. And it's not Warner Brothers, it should be noted. It was, I believe, Deadline or The Wrap that broke this story.
Okay.
But I don't know how I feel about them going with one potential backstory. I like the idea that we were talking about last time where it's like introduce 4 different possibilities and constantly change the outcome or change what the story is. Kind of like what they did with The Dark Knight. I think that's what made that Joker so interesting was you don't know the truth. So that's what I would hope for, at least. I don't know about you guys.
It's very, very strange to me because as you're talking about this kind of thing, I'm trying to think of the logistics of making a movie, making 3 or 4 different movies that all kind of tie into each other, maybe, but tell one story, sort of. Because in order to have a future in which we don't know if that's what happened, they did it well in Inception, but this is for a character who at the end of it you still don't know what's real, you know, like and having 4 different
an unreliable narrator.
Like because just like in The Dark Knight, like he's very unreliable. You can't believe any stories that he tells you, and to have it told over 4 big budget movies, I don't know if that's a little bit too risky for
what
like
if the
big
story
studios to.
What if the story is the Joker in the 80s or in the present day or whatever? Being interviewed.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Like as a framing device, like he's being interviewed by somebody today, and he's like, "Well, back in the '80s, I was this, or was I this, or was I this?" And he's just as a narrator in one movie telling you 4 different tales where details are different each time.
But in that case,
I thought you said this happened.
Oh, did I say that? I meant this.
Exactly.
Sorry, officer.
But so what? I have to ask, what's the payoff of that? Is the payoff going to be just a confused old guy in jail?
Well, that's
or
the
is it going to
question,
be the
because
actual story told?
The payoff at the end of like The Usual Suspects is like, oh, Kevin Spacey fooled everybody. Kaiser Soze was on the bottom of a cup or whatever. Like that's the whole thing.
The reveal,
The thing about the Joker is that he is the villain to Batman.
Right.
And I don't know. Okay, correct me if I'm wrong. Has there been a successful we're going to focus on the villain of a superhero franchise movie yet? Have they done that yet?
Not superhero movies.
Deadpool is a spin-off character who's held his own.
Yeah.
We've had spin-offs. We've had Wolverine has had a franchise, a successful franchise.
We almost had a Sinister Six, but that never came to fruition.
Could you count Magneto? He's kind of
he was a focus in First Class for a part of it, but then it became about X-Men First Class.
Exactly.
The Suicide Squad.
Kind of.
Now, that's a group.
I mean, I wouldn't call that successful, though.
And it's tricky because the Suicide Squad,
it's an Academy Award-winning movie, damn it.
The Suicide Squad has like a real specific purpose where it's like supposed to be B and C list villains.
Right.
That like some of them are redeemed through their own little adventures as they're working for the government. It has a real specific spot in like a larger DC universe. That's what it does in the comics, and that's what they were shooting for in the movie, where they already have an established Superman, Batman. You know, in this story in the beginning, you had the guy from Stranger Things being like, "What if Superman wasn't good, and he turned evil, hence the Suicide Squad." So there's like a building blocks. What I'm saying, and I think to your question, Augustine, like what's the payoff in this? Can you do a Joker movie without Batman? Or and the question is that something that we should do? If it can be done, should we do it?
Well, that's to me that is sort of because this movie takes place in the 1980s. I imagine, and like I could be completely wrong about this because we don't know the details, but I would almost think that they would use this movie to maybe tell 4 different, or have the Joker be the narrator of 4 different stories that then converge into one hopefully satisfying finale. And it's mostly about his rise from becoming this crazy dude who wears makeup into the Joker. And maybe it's before Batman shows up, maybe it's right before Batman shows up, but like, do we want to see Batman in this movie? Do we want another 80s version of Batman to show up, or are we fine with just dealing with the Joker story?
Think about what would happen if Batman shows up, though.
Yeah,
Batman is the most popular money-making superhero that has ever been created. If we're just waiting an entire movie to wait for Batman to show up, then it's no longer a Joker movie. You know, this movie has to be. It
gets hijacked.
Yeah, this movie has to be about the Joker. And I honestly don't see any kind of a satisfying end because the end to Joker is Batman. Like the reason he exists is because Batman exists. So what's the story arc going to be? Is the story arc going to be a guy telling a story that
Batman kills him?
Yeah, exactly. Like
that's what's hinted at the end of The Killing Joke.
Right, exactly.
And The Killing Joke is set in the present, but has flashbacks to Joker being a failed comedian who has a pregnant who his wife. She gets killed. He goes crazy. Then he gets dumped into a vat of acid, turns into the Joker, and then we're in the present day.
Right.
And Batman says to him, I think we're going to kill each other.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about our relationship. I think we're going to kill each other. And at the end, they're both laughing, and then one of the laughter goes away. We just see ha 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 ha. It's all black. So people have speculated. It's hinting at the fact that Batman finally kills him. And it's not the thing about that story too. It's like it's not even like a real story.
Right.
It's just like an exploration of the ideas and themes of Batman and the Joker.
Yeah, exactly. But
and then
also,
Barbara Gordon is like sexually assaulted in it.
Yeah, for whatever reason. But also think about the implications that has. It's like, are we supposed to be rooting for Joker at this point? Even in a movie with Batman in it, when we're always supposed to root for Batman, Joker's a complete psycho rapist maniac guy.
Yeah.
We're really going to make a movie where we're going to root for him even though Batman shows up?
Especially if you have... So right now, they're reporting that Joaquin Phoenix is the actor who's going to potentially play this role.
Yeah.
I see Joaquin Phoenix going in a very dark route.
Yeah.
Look at that. Look at that face. Come on.
That's a very creepy face.
But that's the thing. I look at that and I go, yo, this dude's creepy, fucked up, and is gonna murder you. Not, I want to root for him. And I the only way that they can do it is if they can sell us convincing scenarios where you would root for the Joker to get out of it, only so he survives to maybe face Batman in some alternate future. But is that enough of a payoff?
Where's the payoff for that? Like, now, you're setting up a movie that we might or might not get, and it's just, I don't think there's enough meat and potatoes there for a Joker movie to exist without the Batman. Like, it's just,
because
the more and more we talk about it, the more I'm convincing myself that it's not a Joker movie without a Batman.
It feels as if the Joker is this name that Warner Brothers knows sells shit and is super popular, just like Batman, that it's mapped over Martin Scorsese doing a kind of a newer story similar to the one he did in the 80s, The King of Comedy, where a failed comedian goes crazy or whatever, starring Joaquin Phoenix. If this didn't have the Joker on it at all, this would be on my radar still. I'd be like, oh, that's going to be like a good like gangster movie or like a good like it seems like a Martin Scorsese movie. But again, like you're saying, it just seems like they're just draping the Joker aspect over it.
Yeah.
And for me, what's kind of frustrating is that certain comic book characters that have come from these worlds that were designed for children.
Yeah.
Characters like the Punisher. The Punisher first appears in Spider-Man comics. Watch his show, and it is rated R as fuck. And I'm okay with that for certain characters. Blade, the sort of darker fringes of this universe. Or in the DC world, Swamp Thing, John Constantine, right? The Joker is an incredibly R-rated character, but to me, he should always live in a world of PG-13 just because of his proximity to Batman. Does that make sense?
Exactly.
In the same way that Batman is with Superman, is with Green Lantern, is with Flash. These heroes are on a different level, and they mean a different thing to the world than characters like, oh, we're going to tell a fucked up story with like the Doom Patrol. Or like, oh, the side characters like, oh, what are we going to do over here with Zatanna and Deadman and like, the sort of Justice League Dark characters. Like, that's fine. But I think that it would be almost like kind of a bummer for me to like know that kids know that this Joker movie exists. Joker, like from Batman, like from Lego Batman, and it's something that maybe that's not for them. But then that's weird because they've always pushed the envelope, especially with these characters in video games and animation, and they get really gnarly and bloody with it. But at the end of the day, it's always it's still Batman. And there might be certain things that are not Adam West Batman for everybody, for little kids, or Lego Batman for everybody. But it's still something that's like you can kind of get to when you're like in your teens. If you go full blown rated R NC-17 with it, then I'm like, then that's not. Then don't call it the Joker.
I think the only
because we're rooting for like the bad guy, and I don't. And in other stories, Martin Scorsese is a master at telling these like morally ambiguous stories, parables with these characters. They're cinema classics. Should that be the Joker, the guy who fights?
Glorified?
The guy who fights Batman.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
should we be like, hey, we'll have Scorsese do this,
kill that guy so Batman can come after you? Like,
no, man,
I don't want to root for that.
I think the only sort of counter to that is the fact that we're gonna have a all audiences Joker happening at the same time simultaneously with Jared Leto.
I figured it out.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
And Martin Scorsese isn't directing it, by the way.
All right, Hector,
I think the
hit me
reason
with
I
the
feel
pitch.
weird about this is because this seems more like a movie studio trying to make a comic book thing work as a movie versus a movie studio looking at a comic book thing and going, we got to make a movie of this. Does that make sense? They already have like a formula, like a thing that they know is like, well, we've fucking seen this and it's awesome. It's Scorsese. It's in the 80s. It's a failed comedian. We got Joaquin Phoenix sign on. This is a movie. And then we're going to kind of fit this in here, as opposed to a movie studio looking at a thing and going, you guys, we got to make Batman the Killing Joke. This story is perfect.
Right,
Let's do this.
Exactly.
And like, let's do everything in this production to like serve this story. Maybe that's what I kind of feel weird about.
Well, yeah,
it,
no,
you
I
know?
completely understand where you're coming from. It's just like they're just trying to stretch an old skin, like a new skin over something very old.
Marvel Studios didn't look at the IP of Black Panther and go, well, what other Hollywood movies can we look at that we can help us conceptualize how we could even make this? They looked at this and they went, we got to do the movie version of Black Panther.
Right.
It's never been done.
Right.
Let's fucking do that.
Yeah.
And then they kind of blew
And
that
then they
up.
made all the money in the world.
So, they weren't like, well, what movies from the 90s or the 80s or the 70s are like Black Panther? It's like nothing like that.
No, nothing. And this movie is in a very weird spot. And honestly, I don't know what we're going to see from this. I'm interested, but it's just I don't see where the payoff for the audience is.
This is
weird.
If this is the
Joaquin
first
Phoenix.
I mean, yeah, if this is the first like Elseworlds, this is going to be bizarre.
Yeah,
like,
it's gonna be
I
really
am,
weird.
of course, very curious to see
Yeah.
what happens, but it's not an Elseworld that's like, what if Superman landed somewhere else instead of
Right,
Kansas? It's
exactly.
not one of these classic comic book Elseworlds. It's like, this Elseworld is like, what if we just made a rated R Martin Scorsese movie and names like
And
the
put the
Joker,
Joker in
and
it.
Arkham Asylum
Yeah,
and Gotham are in it.
Yeah.
I don't
We'll
know.
we'll
I don't
see.
know. It's weird. It's a really weird. But
It
I'm
could
glad
be.
we have the
It could be
discussion
awesome. It
because
could be the best comic book related movie.
It could.
I mean, yeah,
That'd be a
years.
There's
pleasant
al-
surprise.
There's also that possibility that Martin Scorsese has such a great idea and it's going to blow all our minds, and then we're going to want more movies like this.
Yeah.
Also very possible, but at this point, it's just very difficult to see where we win.
it's also Todd Phillips directing. Now, I love the first Hangover.
Phillips.
I
that's
don't like.
right.
I'm
Okay,
not a big fan
okay.
of 2.
No.
I'm not crazy about 3.
Nope.
Old school's okay.
Yeah,
I like old school.
Yeah. If it was Scorsese doing it, then I'd be like, okay, I see it.
Yeah.
But so we'll basically have to see sort of how they take these different visions, put them on a paper, what ends up happening with it, and if Joaquin Phoenix ends up doing it, because I think having Joaquin Phoenix, that's a very particular type of actor to play that role.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
we'll see.
It makes a lot of sense. And let me just skip ahead for a quick second because this is what it also kind of reminds me of. And maybe I'm just being a little too protective of my comic book shit, but like go to our topic all the way at the end, Bloodshot.
Okay.
Bloodshot Casting,
Okay.
right? I won't reveal who the casting is if you don't already know, but like they say in this thing that the tone of that Bloodshot movie is going to be an 80s action film, RoboCop, Terminator, Total Recall.
Mm-hmm.
And I read that and I'm like, okay, that's dope. Those are awesome movies.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of wish, when we were pitched a thing we haven't seen before, that they were like, the tone is unlike anything you've ever seen. You haven't seen a
Right,
Bloodshot
right,
movie. You know what I
right.
mean? Again, it's just like Bloodshot is Bloodshot.
Yeah.
I want to see a Bloodshot movie.
Yeah.
But
Zach's getting real
Look
excited
at
about
I don't
it.
know. Do you know what I mean?
I can tell you that what you think it's going to be.
It's
I can't tell you anymore.
No, but like, and here's the thing too.
You
Here's
son
the
of a
thing.
bitch.
Damn it, Zach.
To defend that sort of pitch, the tone is like, Total Recall's, Terminator.
right.
It's purposeful because it's a.
Yes, that's great. That's great. And a
Ooh.
lot of the times with these kinds of things, the pitch is purposeful, like Zach just said.
Yeah.
The pitch is doing something because in so many
trying to draw
so
you
many
in.
times it's the only way these things can even get greenlit.
Yeah.
You have
yeah.
to go into the studio and be like, well, this thing is like this.
Have
that's
you guys
already
ever
proven-
seen RoboCop?
Yeah, that's already been proven
You're
successful.
like the Terminator.
RoboCop meets Terminator meets Total Recall.
Yeah.
Let's sign
gotta
up.
use
we'll
those
do that.
buzzwords,
As
for sure.
opposed to, because I mean, look, even Robert Kirkman, when he pitched the Walking Dead comic series,
Yeah.
he was like, "Oh, it's aliens."
Yeah.
Like 6 issues in, I'm going to reveal that it's aliens are doing this experiment for
Right.
zombies on on Earth.
Right.
And Image was like, "Dope! Now you got yourself a series as
Yeah.
opposed to just a straight zombie drama."
Right.
He started writing it, turning in the issues,
Mm-hmm.
the scripts. The issues started coming out, and one of his people, editors or whatever at Image, was like, "Robert, are you going to do the alien thing?" And he was like, "Oh no, I lied to you. That was just to get like greenlit." And then went,
Yeah.
"Oh, okay, thank God, because don't ruin this comic, which is
Right,
already
right.
so great."
Yeah.
So maybe we're just kind of seeing that pitch of it. Maybe we're just
sure.
seeing
Yeah.
the pitch of like the Scorsese Joker,
Yeah.
and we don't know what the script is.
Yeah,
If we were to
exactly.
read it, we would go, "Dude, this movie's going to be incredible."
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. Like, there's still that chance.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's good. Like I said, interesting.
Wait
to
and see. It's
Yeah.
all just wait and see.
All
wait
right,
and see.
definitely.
Next thing we're going to talk about, EW's did a giant spread on Avengers Infinity War, giving us a little bit more tidbits about what to expect from Thanos and the movie itself.
Oh yeah.
I really like reading it. There was a set report at the very beginning that talks about Captain America and Thor being on the set, and they're describing Anthony Bresnikan was talking about the set, what Wakanda looked like, and all sorts of stuff, and
That's
talking about how
That's
like
dope.
Falcon's there and Hulk and all these characters.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh man, I cannot wait for this movie. Damn it, it's gonna be so good. But one of the cool things that I liked was talking about Thanos and sort of his motivation in this movie, what sort of a place he's coming from.
Yeah.
And Kevin Feige says he's from a planet called Titan that's no longer inhabited because of things that he thought he could help prevent, and he was not allowed to do that. What he feared most happened, and the planet and everybody on it basically went extinct. He vowed not to let that happen again. He thinks he sees the universe going down the tubes. He thinks he sees life expanding outward unchecked. That will bring ruin, he believes, to the universe and to that life. That's either genius or horrific, depending on your point of view. And most of our point of view says it's pretty horrific. So, really interesting.
If I'm wrong,
Yeah.
in the comic books, Thanos was from Titan, which is a moon of Saturn.
Yeah. No.
In the comics,
Is it
I
Saturn?
think, like in our solar system.
Yeah. It's
because
definitely
doesn't
our solar
Saturn
system.
have a moon that is called
There's
Titan?
a
very
like-
multiple?
so they
I
were
don't
just
think
like-
it's Saturn. I don't think it's Saturn. Zach, do you know? What?
Like in the original, in the 70s.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was definitely the Eternals. Like, a
Or
place for
was
the
it-
Eternals. I forgot
Oh,
what
shit.
planet it's orbiting.
Was it
Jupiter
Eternals?
or something? I
Yeah,
don't know.
because Star Fox is his, not the Nintendo character, but Star Fox is his brother.
Yeah,
and he's
yeah.
in Eternal.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. All right, I gotta brush up on some Thanos.
Yeah, we got to really brush up on
But,
the Infinity War.
Anyway, I like
Yeah.
that he's from a planet called Titan. That's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah. That was super intriguing. I liked understanding a little bit more of like his point of view, his perspective, where he's coming from. And I think a lot of people thought that based on how he was revealed in the first Avengers movie, talking about courting death, that was going to be his motivation in this. And it's nice to actually, because I don't think with the trailer, I mean, we've only gotten one trailer so far, and we've had Thanos in the trailer, but it doesn't really heavily go into the why. So I like the fact that, and you know, not everybody's going to read this article, but it's nice to get a little bit more of like, this is why Thanos is doing what he's doing. That was really, really cool. And
You know what's crazy?
Yeah.
This first quote up here at the top, dude.
Yeah.
Can we
Let's
talk
get
about
into
that?
this.
Let's talk about this one.
So
Adam.
Stephen McFeely is one of the writers of Avengers Infinity War. He's written all the Captain America movies. He's one of the two writers who's written all the Cap movies. And they were talking about basically how some of these people, some of these characters, some of these heroes, some will sacrifice themselves, some will die in combat, some will ride off into the sunset. And Stephen McFeely says, we're going to pull out the stops and stop exploring. Oh, this is actually Robert Downey Jr. who says this.
Yeah.
He says, we're going to pull out the stops and stop exploring conventions and look to do stuff where we go, oh, but if we do that, that's very, very definitive. Well, great. Let's get definitive for a change. Which is like,
shit.
man, that's
Which
crazy.
is very anti-comic book.
McFeely, what McFeely
Yes.
says, what Stephen McFeely says is, it's safe to say we will say farewell to people.
Yes.
What?
I mean, this.
That's crazy.
I told you. I knew people were gonna die in
And
this one.
that's
Yeah.
one of the things that this article touches upon. It touches upon the fact that it's been 10 years since the start of the MCU.
Yeah.
What does that mean for some of these characters? You know, a lot of these actors, their contracts are ending. A lot of these actors want to move on to other things.
Yeah.
It's obviously very safe to say that there will be characters who will perish,
Yeah.
if not in Avengers Infinity War, in Avengers 4.
I'm calling it. It's gonna be Hawkeye, and it's gonna make me cry.
I think so too. I think Hawkeye's
of course
definitely
it's
one
gonna
of them.
be
Yeah.
Hawkeye.
It's gonna be Hawkeye.
But I also think it's gonna be Captain America. I
Oh.
also think it's maybe not Captain America. Well, maybe Captain
think-
America. It's definitely gonna be Iron Man. Iron Man's going out in this one, I think.
Oh,
If Iron Man doesn't
Um,
go out, I think this is there. Something will happen in this story or in the fourth one that is going to either force or convince Iron Man to move on and
Yeah.
retire. Because
Yeah.
he talks about his relationship with Pepper Potts and how in the recent movies it's kind of been glossed over and it's like, oh, well, we're on a break right now. We're not.
Yeah.
But I
or
think
Spider-Man. Oh, they're back together.
exactly.
Like, 'cause it's not his movie.
And Robert Downey Jr. talks about how like, you know, what's Iron Man's end game? Does he want to be a family man? Does he want to get married? Does he want to have
Right,
kids? You know,
right.
like what's
Or
the
is he
story
gonna
for
go
him?
out like a hero? And I think he's going to go out like a
Especially
hero.
with this bleeding edge armor,
Oh yeah.
going into deep
yeah.
space with this new suit.
Yep. Yeah.
Who knows?
So I think Iron Man's going out. Spidey's not going out.
No.
He's not going anywhere.
I think it's
I
safe
don't
to say
think
that
Scarlet Witch is going anywhere. I don't think Vision's going anywhere.
Ooh, I don't know.
I know, but I think
know.
Vision is gonna somehow come back.
Yeah.
Um,
Maybe he comes back as Jarvis if he doesn't come back as the Vision.
Yeah, maybe. I think at this point he's already duplicated himself into something.
Probably.
And so I think there's a backup contingency for Vision.
Do you are you saying that Stark is going to become the new Jarvis? That whoever
Maybe.
inherits the mantle of Iron Man,
That'd
whether
be
it's
dope.
Rhodey or Pepper Potts herself or Riri Williams becoming the new Iron Man, Ironheart, that
yeah.
we'll hear Robert Downey Jr. like, okay, kid, here's what we're doing. Like that would
That'd
be
be dope.
Oh, make me cry.
if that ended up being the legacy,
If he just comes in to record the voices,
Yeah.
that
Just
would
like
be
an
awesome.
AI.
Are you
Okay.
kidding me?
That would be great. Yeah, if
All
that's
right,
how
I gotta
they
stop
pass
thinking
on the
about this
mantle.
movie because I'm gonna keep coming up with shit, and I'm gonna be disappointed if I don't see it.
Given the quote that he says that they have to stop exploring conventions, like things that they have already done. Yeah, I think stuff like that is very much on the table.
Yeah,
You know, I
yeah,
think
totally.
I think anything and everything right now is on the table because not only you were saying contracts are ending, but I think people definitely want to move on to do other things. Like,
Yeah.
not to say Chris Hemsworth didn't do a bang up job on Thor 3 on Ragnarok. Who knows? He might come back, but I wouldn't mind seeing the lady Thor come on
Absolutely.
and somebody
Jane
take
Foster.
the mantle.
Yeah.
Have what's her
Either
name?
that or Valkyrie.
Yeah, what's her name? Who's the new Captain America right now? What's her name?
Oh, Peggy.
Peggy. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Peggy's the new Captain America. Like that's dope. Let's see something like that. Let's see that mantle passed on. I just folded your paper. So it's just it's things that can pass on.
Oh,
and,
for
and
sure.
Still carry that.
I think that's what's been so cool and so strong with some of the characters, both from Marvel and DC, is they create legacy.
Right.
And I think Captain America is a perfect character to turn him into a legacy character where the mantle of what Captain America is and what he represents, what he means to not just America but the world.
Right.
I think you can pass that torch to Bucky Barnes or to Sam Wilson. I think there's opportunities to do that.
Or
I think
go
with
extreme
Iron
and
Man,
go America Chavez.
yeah, or like
Yeah.
with a character like Iron Man, you know, what has Tony Stark represented to the world ever since he was a weapons dealer to becoming a hero, someone who creates technology to help the world.
Yeah.
You know, who inherits that mantle? Is it going to be an Ironheart? Is it maybe War Machine? Is it a brand new character?
Right.
But the idea of Tony Stark becoming the new Jarvis, so we still get a little bit of that legacy of what Tony Stark, who he was, and what the impact he left in the world.
We've seen that. We've seen
That'd
that in
be
the
amazing.
comics. We've seen Tony be his AI self. You know, he kind of comes up as a hologram. It's literally what's happening.
There
I
you go,
would love
Zach.
it because in the same way that the DC universe has the Trinity, which is Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Marvel has Captain America, Iron Man, Thor. And I would love it if these characters retired, but they're still in some way around.
Yeah.
There's versions of the same way that Alex Ross did Kingdom Come. He did Earth X for the Marvel universe, where it's like what happens like 1,000 years from now, whatever. And Steve Rogers like kind of lives forever.
He does.
He becomes this older guy, you know. So like I don't want to see him be Captain America forever, but I would love it if he got older, if we allowed Chris Evans to age appropriately, but he was still Steve Rogers in the world, and maybe he's the new Nick Fury.
Right.
Maybe he's
right.
in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. and then Sam is Cap, or Bucky is Cap, or somebody else is Cap.
I don't think they blinded Thor on accident.
I know.
He's gonna ascend to
I
Odin.
want him to be the
Just like
All-Father,
his dad.
and there can be a new Mighty Thor in Asgard and in the cosmos, but like I kind of want him to be the All-Father.
He will be.
If he loses
That's
his hand, like
the thing. Yeah,
that's it.
The eye thing is not an accident.
I
Dude.
would
He's
love to
gonna
see
be Odin.
I would love to see Tony Stark kind of like the end of The Dark
Pass
Knight
the
Rises.
torch.
Bruce Wayne gets a happy ending. Maybe he is with Pepper.
Yeah.
And he's just is an old scientist,
Yep.
inventor guy,
Yep.
and somebody else is an iron person.
Agreed.
You know,
Agreed.
like I would and those are the three that I want to see, like still like Robert Downey, Chris Evans, and Chris Hemsworth. They can always bring them back if they wanted to. Chris
Yes.
Hemsworth,
Yeah.
but like
Always leaves the door open.
if Hawkeye dies, if Scarlet Witch dies, if Vision dies, if
Scarlet
Rhodey
Witch isn't
dies,
gonna
if
die.
Sam dies, if Bucky dies, if T'Challa dies, if Spider-Man
T'Challa's not
dies,
gonna
if the
die.
Guardians die, I would cry, but I'd be
everybody
like,
dies.
but I'd kind of be like, but at least the Trinity is still alive
Yeah,
in some
exactly.
way.
Exactly.
There's hope.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I know it's going to be real interesting to see who goes and who stays.
Yeah.
But I think this is a perfect, and I think that's why they've held back on releasing what the title of Avengers 4 is.
Yeah.
I have a feeling if it's not directly referenced in the title,
Yeah.
I think it's going to be about the new Avengers. Who are they? is a Captain Marvel leading
It could
them
just be
with
called
T'Challa
the
and
New
Spider-Man.
Avengers.
It could
That's
be
what
called
I-
the New
that's,
Avengers.
That's what I'm. That's what
It
I'm
could be called
I have
Avengers
a-
Secret Invasion.
I have a feeling they're gonna release the name at the very end of
Yeah.
Infinity
Avengers
War.
3.
Like they will
Infinity
return.
War.
These characters will return in Avengers
Secret Wars,
Yeah.
and we'll be
New
like,
Avengers.
"Oh,
No, they will return in the New Avengers. Boom.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Fuck, man.
Yeah, it's. But you guys should definitely check out the article. There's a lot of really good stuff in there talking about
Cool.
the motivations of the characters, sort
Makes
of
sense,
what
makes
the
sense.
characters are going through, and great new images as well.
Yeah.
Really good stuff. I really liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Really good read. And I usually tend to be somebody who doesn't try to read a lot of those because
I
sometimes
try
they
to
can be a little
stay away from it,
spoilery.
yeah.
But I want a little context, and
Well,
with
this
all
is
the stuff coming out, I can tell you there's probably a trailer coming real soon.
it's a big deal too, especially Robert Downey Jr. talking this way. It's a big deal.
It is. It is
Yeah.
a big deal. So I'm really excited to see how this all comes together next month.
Man.
Damn, 1 month.
Do you
Holy
guys think
crap.
it'll be able to top domestically Black Panther?
I
Like
don't
Black
know.
Panther's about to top the first Avengers domestically.
I will
Yes.
say my expectation for this is like this
Number
is all
one.
time.
Yeah.
See,
I
here's
mean, yeah.
here's the thing though.
But it's like, what does it take away from Black Panther? Nothing,
Yeah.
because
No.
this
Yeah,
has been
sure.
10 years
Exactly.
ago.
Sure.
It doesn't take away, but here's the thing. This is the culmination for us who have been following this
Yes.
for forever.
10 years.
And
yeah.
and that's a very as much as we like to think we're in a big audience space,
Right.
we're not that huge of an audience space, you know? Like people who went to go see Black Panther are people who went out of their way to go watch that movie
Yeah.
because of the cultural
We've
importance
maybe
of
never
it.
seen a superhero
Right.
movie before. Yeah.
This movie is culturally important to us.
Yeah.
But it's not culturally
Comic-Con,
yeah, to Comic-Con, but it's not culturally
True,
important to
true.
like
Yeah.
So
it's
that
not a
means-
movement.
Guys, we got to get out there and we got to start pitching this as
Make
Black
that
Panther
movement.
2. It's Black Panther 2.
But I will say, I to your point,
1.5,
but, no, but
yeah.
honestly, I think because of the fact that Avengers
That
Infinity War will
momentum,
heavily
man. Yeah.
feature Wakanda, Black
Yeah.
Panther, the Dora
Yep.
Milaje, M'Baku, I think that could be a big enough pull for people to go, oh, it's in Wakanda. Let's go. Like,
Yeah.
why
I
would
told
we
you
not
guys,
go?
told
Let's
you
do
guys,
it.
my friend LT, she never watched any superhero movies.
Yeah.
Saw Black Panther, saw our reaction,
Yeah.
and then I told her I was like, you know, the Infinity War is probably gonna mostly take place in Wakanda. She's like, I'm there.
Yeah,
I'm there.
exactly.
And she's already bought into
Look,
it.
it's like what they did with Justice League in the promotional material for Justice League, heavily featuring Wonder Woman.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, the movie was great.
yeah,
she
I went
was
to go see
great.
Wonder Woman.
That's that like you use that momentum to build off of, and
Yeah.
like even though whatever the stories were about Justice League, you're gonna go watch it because you're like, yeah, well, they're featuring Wonder Woman very prominently.
Yeah.
Let's go see what it's
Yeah,
all about.
absolutely.
So, speaking of the DC universe, a lot of people have been asking for
Nice
a
segue.
photo of
Nice
the
segue.
damn Shazam suit. Now, thanks to a photographer,
damn
I
Shazam.
believe his name is Sean Neal. I believe his name is on
putting
Instagram.
you on blast, Sean.
Instagram and Twitter. He went out. He got some really nice, high quality photos of Zachary Levi in the Shazam suit. He got some shots of oh god,
Mark Strong.
Mark Strong as Dr. Sivana.
Dr. Sivana.
Yeah. So and honestly, like I know a lot of people were kind of ragging on the suit a little bit last week. They're like, it's padded and it looks like this and that and it looks blah blah blah. It looks like Shazam to me. It
Yeah.
looks like Shazam. It looks like it's a blend of classic and New 52. I think it looks great. I don't know. I don't really have any criticisms about it.
It's
The padded suit. Spoilers. Ben Affleck and Henry Cavill have it too, and so do most other superheroes.
yeah,
It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, it's we did a lot of the VFX on other stuff, and you can tell when people are wearing.
I mean, you
padded
can go look at the
suits.
behind the scenes of the Justice League Blu-ray, and they talk about how they
Yeah.
built chrome plating
yeah
for the
yeah.
suits, and they
to give it a nice
cover it
little
with
shine.
fabric.
Yeah,
It's not that big of a deal.
It's not that big of a deal, and I hate that people are going in so hard on pictures like this because
Yeah.
you can't do that. You have to wait until an official still from the movie
Yep.
comes out. It's
Yep.
not fair to like people were ragging on Captain Marvel, her
Yeah.
suit, and like oh it's all baggy and I hope it's not green and
comics.
right. And, well, I mean that's part of it. People don't read
yeah.
comics,
Why is it
but
green? Okay.
also it's
Let
just
me crack my nuts.
Yeah.
hold on, let me get in. Crack the nuts.
I watched that today. I laughed real good.
Yeah, that's a good throwback. But yeah, it's just very unfair to judge things. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie. When I saw them, I was just like, these don't look the best. But you have to remind yourself not to be fucking overly critical about
Right.
stuff that's not officially press released yet.
Right.
If we get a press release and it still looks like he's wearing a muscle suit, like where he's got sort of, you can see the cavity like under the muscle suit,
Yeah.
then call it out. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah.
then call out that that's a problem.
even
But
then,
for now,
sometimes production stills have been released, and I'm thinking about that movie X-Men First Class.
Yeah.
We got those first pictures, and everyone was
no.
like,
oh yeah, of Apocalypse, Purple Apocalypse.
No, I mean, like it's like
Yeah.
an official production release, and
Yeah.
even then, it's like, it's not color
But I
corrected.
remember
It's
what
not
you were
gonna
talking
look
about.
as good in
X-Men
the
First
movie.
Class, those promo pics leaked. Everybody was like,
Those,
"What the
those
fuck?"
yellow
Yeah.
suits, and everyone was like, "What?" And it's
Yeah.
like, go
Yeah.
see the movie, and it looks cool in the
Yeah,
movie.
it
Right,
fits.
right,
it fits
right.
within the context of the movie. Yeah,
Absolutely.
You brought up a good
Absolutely.
point though, because we had somebody reach out to us on Twitter asking, you know, how do we feel about the suit? In what way do you think they'll enhance it? It's such a tough question to answer because we can speculate all day, all night how we think they're gonna enhance the suit based on looking at it alone. I imagine that lightning bolt is either going to have some sort of a light
Yeah,
effect, a practical light effect,
like in the
it's
comics.
gonna glow, or they're gonna surround it with lightning. And I think that's maybe why they haven't really put out anything official yet,
Yeah.
because they're still tweaking exactly how it's gonna
Working
look.
on the VFX.
I have
yeah.
a strong feeling that the first production still that we see could very much reflect. I think it's volume 1 of the Shazam book where he's got the hood.
Jeff
He's got-
Johns,
Oh, yeah.
Gary Frank. It's
yeah,
a great book.
He's got the hood on the suit. So I think it'd be kind of cool if they did something that's very much an homage to that, where you have the hood, the lightning bolts and shit
Yeah.
all over the place. I'm not in a hurry to get that. It'd be nice to see it just so people can kind of stop talking about it and making it out to be such a big deal, because I feel like
Yeah.
every time we get unofficial images of these suits, it's such a big deal. And look at Suicide Squad. Suicide Squad put out an official image and everybody's like, it looks like cosplay. And I'm like, well, you can't win, I guess. I mean, you just got to wait for the movie and wait for the trailer.
Yeah.
To me, I like the pattern. I like the design. It looks like Shazam.
I feel bad
I
because
can't be mad about it.
I feel bad because
Yes.
people are reaching out and they want to talk about this stuff, and a part of me is like what you're saying, Adam. I'm like, I don't want to talk about this yet. It ain't ready.
Yeah, it's
and I'm not
ready.
trying to like give them the benefit of the doubt and just
Right.
prop everything up because it's DC and I love DC, or I wouldn't do that with Marvel because I love Marvel and it's Marvel. It's or whatever. It's just a thing of like, man, instead of sitting here and like putting effort into thinking about this and being mad or happy about it, I'd rather go read a Shazam comic.
Yeah,
Right.
get
Like,
familiar with the character. and the
Go get
history.
familiar with the character. Go do your research. You know, because if you're like, if you pull up a picture, and you're like, man, it doesn't look. Stop. Go read a comic book. Go spend time and
Who's the
effort on
Marvel
that.
family? Who's
Love
Dr.
this thing.
Sivana?
Yeah.
Learn about it, and then at least if you're gonna have that conversation later, you can at least bring something to the table of like, well, I
Right.
know in this panel it looks like this. Oh,
Right,
okay, maybe I don't
right,
feel so
right.
bad about it. But then again, I know people just want to talk to us about this stuff because they might not have anybody to talk with about
Yeah. And
this
they're
stuff.
excited.
Yeah.
And they're excited, and and that's what you want. You want to shoot the shit with your buddies. But I know we pour over every single thing that comes out that's like pre-production. It's like, don't worry about that shit. I got that shit. Like I don't care. Like I want to wait.
That is
know?
never not funny, by the way.
Never not.
always
I got
great.
that shit.
And you
shit's
should.
on lockdown.
Well, you used the Prince gift today, and someone was
yeah.
like, "I heard it in my
Yeah.
voice." You're like,
He's
like, never not funny, man. Never not funny. It's so great.
Yeah.
But yeah, man. So like pre-production stuff, at least like photos and stills and stuff. I'm like, whatever, you know.
Just don't. Yeah, take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, and I think what you just said is the best advice that we, instead of pouring over images and set videos, go read some Shazam comics.
Yeah. Mhm.
Read the
Yeah.
new 52 stuff with Jeff Johns, Gary Frank, but also go back and familiarize yourself with the pre-Shazam, the Captain Marvel version.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
like what
Right.
was that character like before he became a DC
Yep.
Comics
Mhm.
character?
I think
what is
there's
he like after?
There's a hardcover, I think, that's like Shazam celebrating 75 years of
Yeah.
the Big Cheese or whatever, and it's
Yeah.
like a hardcover, and it'll have some of his early,
Yeah.
Right.
you know.
Even go
Just-
watch Young Justice. He has some great stuff in
Yeah.
Young Justice.
Sure.
You know,
Mhm.
where he's the mentor,
Yeah.
which you wouldn't think of him being a mentor.
Yeah, and like, and you know, even when the descriptions of the suit and all that sort of stuff was coming out, people were like, this sounds really silly and this and that. I'm like, you're kind of defining Shazam. If you're going
He's
into
a
this movie
silly
not
kid.
expecting it to have some level of like humor and have that sort of a lighter tone,
Yeah.
that kind of is the character of Shazam.
This
He's
is kind
an
of the-
11-year-old kid in an adult body.
This is
Yeah.
kind of the shittiest comparison so far, but like, I'm like, honestly, the closest like superhero movie suit that has come to this idea kind of is maybe like Jingle All the Way, and when Arnold suited up as Turbo Man.
Yep.
And I'm looking at some other production stuff, and
And
it
that's what
kind
people were
of
comparing it to.
reminded me of Turbo Man, and I'm like, good. I'm like, that's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, he's
You
an
know?
over the top cheesy
Our
kid.
It's called the Big Cheese.
Our
It's-
buddy Joe Starr was like, they're making a Saturday morning cartoon, and it looks like a Saturday morning cartoon.
Yeah,
You know,
there you go. That's a
and-
good way to
and
put
before
it.
you go like, no, it should be dark. It's in the DCEU or DC Films or whatever they call it, and it should be in the same world as Batman v Superman: Dawn of Justice. It's like, yes and no. Look at all the different tones that are available in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is a totally different tone.
Right,
It'll still be in the world. I really hope Zachary Levi's like, oh, Superman's back, cool. He's my favorite, but he's like a little kid,
Right,
and it's
right.
it's a different tone.
Yeah,
It is a completely different
Yeah,
tone.
there's,
Yeah,
already,
it's-
there's already stuff on set. There's like they're featuring like Batman and Superman action figures and Gotham City news vans and
See?
Superman. Like
There you go.
It's all part of the same
It's all
universe.
self-aware.
But I agree. These movies don't all tonally have to be the same. To me that's boring, honestly. Like I like the fact that you can have something dark and serious like a Batman movie, something hopeful and inspirational like Superman or Wonder Woman, and then have something that's a little more on the lighter tone comical side like Shazam, the Big Cheese. That's totally fine. Very valid. The last thing we're going to talk about, Vin Diesel's casting as Bloodshot in Valiant's
Boom.
Bloodshot movie.
Bloodshot.
Full circle here.
Yeah,
Um,
I think it's kind of perfect casting.
I think so.
yeah, I mean,
I think so.
Kind of the little I've read of Bloodshot.
Yeah.
I think it's kind of perfect
Yeah.
casting.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah.
the director is a first-time director. He's the creative director at Blur Studios. He's been someone who's collaborated with Tim Miller, who was
Oh,
the director of the
interesting.
first Deadpool movie.
Uh-huh.
This is sort of his first outing as a director. It's being written by Eric Heiser, who obviously has been very involved with Valiant, but he's
Yeah.
also the Academy Award nominated writer of Arrival.
Yeah, Arrival.
So that's going to be really fun.
Academy Awards. Eric's a nice guy.
My only thing about this whole Valiant universe thing is, they've reshuffled. There's been a whole reshuffling happening at Valiant and how it's sort of being affected in the movie space. I hope that these things actually still come to fruition. Apparently, they're on a very sort of aggressive schedule. They want to shoot this movie in the summer. But man, I feel like we've been talking about this whole Valiant movie universe thing since I think like 2014, 2015.
2015, I
man.
believe.
A long
I
time.
believe,
And
yeah.
it's like, get it moving.
We've been
Get
ready
it
for it.
moving.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, I'm
So-
glad to hear some casting choices because we saw that
Yeah.
little teaser with the web series.
Yes.
And that was kind of confusing because that's when we first heard they were picking up steam for their movie universe.
Yes.
So I was like, wait, so Jason David Frank is Bloodshot, but he's not really Bloodshot because there's
Right.
another Bloodshot in the movies.
Yeah, and the whole concept, as far as I know, about the web series was it was a way to introduce audiences to the Valiant universe who didn't know who those characters
Yeah.
were.
Yeah.
They would use that web series to sort of propel and launch what the franchise
That
and what the
makes
series
sense,
is.
yeah.
And then the movies would sort of take over in a bigger form
Yeah.
where they would be able to get these fans who are Hector just spilling water everywhere.
no.
Just
Oh,
ruined
my
his
phone.
phone. That's your brand new phone
They
too,
would
Hector.
they would use the web series to sort of bring in these potential diehard fans into the movies, and hopefully those diehard fans will then bring in their friends and their families and all
Yeah,
that sort of
yeah.
stuff. So it makes sense why they did it. Whether or not that web series is going to come out, I honestly do not know.
Yeah, because I haven't heard anything after that either.
Yeah. It's had two like fun looking trailers, and I think it was a nice way to
Yeah.
introduce people to the universe. But
Yeah.
in terms of Vin Diesel, yeah, I mean, you want to bring in firepower into this
Yeah.
this universe, and there are very few other people other than Vin Diesel that you can bring into this. There's a great way it's reuniting him with a producer from Fast and the Furious. So I think they hopefully
great-
has a grasp on what
Great
they're doing.
character match because the character of Bloodshot can be very stoic
Yeah.
and just
He is
very
very
like
stoic.
nonverbal and very smoldering and very pensive and very internal and it's an action movie guy and
Right.
so it's like Vin can do that.
There's
shit.
not a lot of action movie guys left, and
Yeah.
Vin Diesel is
Yep.
like
One of them.
one of the
Yeah.
last.
The Rock is
breed.
too charismatic to play Bloodshot.
No, yeah, he's just Dwayne now.
David
Every time I
Statham's
see
too
him,
British.
And who?
David Statham.
Jason Statham.
Jason Statham.
David Statham.
David
Oh,
Statham.
who?
David
His
Statham
brother?
Frank. David Statham Frank.
Diesel.
Yeah, he's too
Cruz.
impossible. He's too Travis
yeah.
Frucci. He's too busy to do it, man. The Fruch too busy to do it. Alex Puccinelli too cute. He's too much of a
cute.
cutie. He
Too much of a
cannot.
booster.
He
Too cute.
cannot play Bloodshot. He's too cute.
Yeah, he's too good looking.
You see his smile and you're like, I'm not scared of you. You're, too
You're a
nice.
cool guy.
You're a cool guy. You're not gonna
kill
shoot me. Oh, you shot me.
Oh,
Bloodshot.
Damn.
Rated R.
Yeah.
We talked about it. We talked about it earlier. You brought it up that it's supposed to have the tone of like RoboCop, Terminator,
Yeah.
and Total Recall. Which I'm like, okay, if you're trying to lean into this '80s action thing, that's fine.
Cool.
But it's kind of the same thing with the Joker movie. Is like, how much are you leaning into that, or are you just using that as inspiration? Is that just part of your pitch?
Were those your buzzwords
that's
just to
fine.
get greenlit, and then you got a
Exactly.
whole nother idea?
Exactly.
I don't know.
I want every comic book movie project to be treated like we're gonna serve this production. We're gonna use this production to serve the story and serve this product, not to get it to fit into whatever genre it is.
Right.
I believe that the guys who are hired to write and direct Invincible, Seth Rogen and Evan Goldberg, I believe that they know why Invincible is so fucking awesome. I believe it, and I believe they're trying to use the movie resources to just elevate that story and
to
be like,
show everybody else.
We're gonna do the most awesome version of this story that we could.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're in there and they're like, well, I guess we could fit this to I don't know, kind of what we did with Superbad and Preacher. This will be fine. They're trying to do Invincible.
That Wiener movie, yeah,
that
could totally fit in the
This would be
Invincible
like
universe.
Sausage Party, you know. So
it's Wiener Party.
I
by
want
the way.
Hollywood productions, whether it's Sony, whoever else, whatever. I want them to look at all of the characters in the Valiant universe, and they have such great characters, and be like, how can we make the best possible Renegades movie?
Yeah.
How can we make is it Renegades? No. Is that what it is? The one that's Harbinger. I guess Harbinger.
Harbinger, yeah.
How can we make the best possible Harbinger movie?
Exo Manowar.
Exo Manowar movie. Faith,
Come on.
that character, Faith,
Quantum and Woody.
If somebody wanted to pitch Quantum Woody, is it's kind of like Lethal Weapon. I'm like, that's fine, but it's also Quantum and Woody.
Right.
And Faith is also Faith, and she's very unique. Well, she's kind of like Peter Parker, and she's living in the big city.
She's not.
That's fine. That's fine. If we need to pitch it that way to get that shit done, but I just want,
this is what it is.
That's what I want.
I hope that's where the universe is going. It's just let's get a little more steam going here. Let's see some production.
This is like step one. I feel like there's been a lot of announcements of these people are doing Quantum Woody. This series happening here. This movie's happening here. This just finalize something, goddammit.
Yeah, the comics have really good momentum. They have a bunch of writers from Marvel going over and writing all their stuff. So they got that shit. That's on. They got that shit on lockdown.
You know what? And in the meantime, while we're waiting for the stuff, I need to go back and be reading way more Valiant.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what I've been meaning to do. I'm reading so much comics. I'm reading so much DC stuff. I'm trying to read as much Marvel stuff as I can. I'm trying to catch up on the Marvel Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
I got stuff, dude. Next time you come over, I'll let you borrow shit. Star Wars, Marvel. I'll hook it up. So I'm trying to go through my collection. I'm reading Star Trek comics mad, but at least with the Star Trek thing, I signed up for a subscription service. They send them to my house.
Oh, nice.
And it is beautiful.
That's awesome.
They send me every month 2 hardcovers of Star Trek comics collected, and it's gorgeous. And it's a thing where I don't have to hunt them down, track them. I'm already paying for the subscription service. They send them to me, and I'm like, great, done, read them, boom, on my shelf. It feels so good. And I kind of wish I wish that I could just do that. I wish I could click somewhere and be like, Valiant, please. And every month they'll send me 2 books.
Yeah.
2 paperbacks. Okay, here's Exo Manowar Volume 1 and Volume 2.
Yeah.
I'm like, great. And then next month it's here's Ninjak. I'm like, oh, great.
That's why
I would just love that.
That's why I'm waiting to buy all the Invincible comics. Yeah. Because that's about to end.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude,
and
I got
then
most
just
of
get
them.
the mega collection of it.
And you know what else I got? Yeah, I had to get it on eBay. Is the volume collected of when Invincible crossed over with Spider-Man in Marvel Team Up.
Oh,
did you ever read that?
No, I haven't read that one yet.
It is so good.
I need to get that
It's one of my favorite comics ever
of all time.
And
Invincible is just the best comic ever of all time anyway.
It's so freaking
That's
good.
your ultimate dream right there.
Yeah, man. It was a pretty special
cool.
It was a pretty special time in my life.
That's
I'm not gonna lie.
Was
Spider-Man.
Was it drawn by Ryan Otley?
No, it's drawn by Cory Walker, the original artist for Invincible. So it had that.
Okay.
The first 6 or 8 issues or whatever.
Okay.
And he visits Spider-Man and he goes back to Avengers Tower because at the time Spidey was living at Avengers Tower in the New Avengers, and he meets Iron Man and Luke Cage, and the whole time he's making fun of Spider-Man's name because he's like, Spider-Man? Isn't that a little on the nose? Your name's Spider-Man? It's and so then he meets all these other characters. He meets Captain America and Wolverine. He goes, well, let me guess, are you Flagman, Clawman? It's so good. It's so good.
Amazing.
I love it.
Oh, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna let you borrow that. But
okay,
that's what I've been doing. I've been collecting my books in paperbacks.
That.
So in the meantime, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go and just do that deep dive in Valiant. And, Zach
the nuts and
a
open a book.
Ninjak thing that I still need to read and get it back to him. And so crack my nuts.
Crack the nuts.
Shit, it's so hilarious.
Yeah, man.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for checking out this latest episode of Hyper Heroes. Please let us know in the comments below how you feel about the brand new Star Wars TV series, what you're thinking about the Joker movie, this Valiant news, and everything else that we covered. What are you most excited to see in Avengers Infinity War?
Yup.
We're so close to this movie.
Yup.
I'm so excited. We need another trailer desperately.
Yup.
In the meantime, Hector, where can everybody find you? On the
Find me
interwebs?
on the internet at Hector is funny. I just talked Amores Perros with my buddy Agustin Rios. We got a bunch of great episodes coming up of the 500 Greatest Films podcast. You can look for that on Twitter and places like iTunes and Podbean and Stitcher. It's 500GF podcast on Twitter. New episodes every Monday. And Adam is still on lockdown to do Halloween. And also, you know what I'd like to know? if you want to get into comics, I've been doing this a lot lately, and I think even from our last episode, people have been hitting me up.
Yeah.
I like this character. Where do I start?
Yeah.
We got you. Don't worry
got
about
you.
it.
There was
bro.
actually a good one about
Yeah.
Superman. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you know, and I know that people recently have been complaining about the Marvel, like, oh, they're renumbering again. It's confusing. It's like it's not though. If you wanted to read Ghost Rider, you'd find Volume 1 or like where to jump in.
Yeah.
You know, so here's my proposal to you. If you wanted to get into anything that we talked about tonight or whatever, hit me up. And if I don't know it, I know people who do. And just back on Twitter, boop, get this, get that. And then like let us know in the comments below what comics you're reading right now. Let's fucking talk about comics.
Yeah.
Y'all reading some comics?
Yeah.
If not, that's cool.
Next
What would
week
you,
we should talk
what do you
about
want to read?
the new DC Black label that's coming out.
That's exciting.
That's right.
That's
That is a
interesting.
new
Very
thing.
exciting
Yeah.
stuff
Yeah.
in that, dude. Kelly Sue DeConnick, writer of Bitch Planet. Zach, you excited about that Wonder Woman book from Kelly Sue DeConnick?
That
Bitch
Black
Planet?
label.
That's what I'm talking about.
He's
Frank Miller's
excited.
doing Superman? Okay,
Man,
it's going to be
you're one.
weird. All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting.
But so,
Yeah.
like, yeah, man, I really like the. And then Neil Gaiman announced a Sandman universe. Did y'all see that? Like a
I
couple
didn't see
different,
that, no.
a couple different things happening. You know, with like his sort of Sandman universe. He's coming back to that. So like, really exciting stuff. And the thing I'm most excited about, Brian Michael Bendis doing Superman.
Oh, that's right.
Brian Michael
That's right.
Bendis, co-creator of Jessica Jones,
Yeah.
Miles
That's
Morales.
gonna be cool.
Been writing Spidey since for more than half of my life. Like him doing Superman. Oh, muy excited.
A legend meets a
Muy
legend.
excited.
Oh yes, it's very
Absolutamente.
nice.
Augustine, where can people find you on the internet?
I don't have as much cool stuff to say like Hector did, so just find me at L_Santo Taco, and that's it.
You can find me here every single week doing this show, Cineverse, obviously with Cameron and Elizabeth. I'm on all social media, just under Adam Lavick. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll catch you next week.